G'day, guys. Welcome to Beyond the Finish Line, the podcast for runners of every pace, every distance, and every goal. This is episode 72, and it's my favorite episode of the month. It's listener questions. It's Georgia. This is the best episode. I'm not even doing the proper intros anymore. I'm just going straight into it. We're not mucking around. We're just going straight in. How you doing, mate?
I am very good, thank you, Coach Matt. And yes, you are correct. This is our favorite episode because we get to hear from all of you guys and all of the questions you ask us in our DMs. We do sometimes save the juiciest ones for this episode because they're so fun to answer.
It's one of the rare occasions Georgia sends me an email every Monday, but Matt, these are the notes and these are what the topic's about. Never open it. Just hit delete. Never look at it. I was like, oh, I might just have a sticky beak. And there's probably like half a dozen really like cracking questions in here. I think we got some pearlers.
I know we do, which is really exciting. And thanks so much for, taking the time to read the email that I sent you.
The one, guys, I'll never lie. I'll just be like,
No,
if I didn't,
I don't care.
I'm just like, don't give a fuck. No,
because then
didn't read it.
Yeah, then I can be like, well, I did send you an email, so it's not my fault.
Yeah, I'll wear it.
Yeah. No, I'm really good. Thank you. It's been a week. I am now currently 35 weeks pregnant. And on Sunday, I did my last run while pregnant, which was so lovely and very well timed, I think. So I'm very happy.
How good.
Yeah.
It's just kind of cool. It's like a little, obviously we do it every week, but it's like a little like recap of pregnancy as well.
Yeah.
Maybe like in 5 years' time, you're like, I wonder what it was like at week 35. And you go back and listen to the episode.
I know. It'll be like, yeah, I'll be able to go back and listen to all the different things I was saying. Even, going back and listen to sub 4 kind of stuff is always interesting. But yeah, it's been really nice sharing this journey with you guys and especially sharing it with you, Matt, because I know this is not something that you would have ever really been interested in. And now I love like the questions you ask and it's just so fun to kind of talk about. So yeah, I get lots of DMs from people saying, I love when you talk about it on the podcast and which is, yeah, it's fun. But yeah, it was the right time and the right call to make to say, I think at 35, I can pull the pin in a good way, not in a like I'm giving up kind of way or anything like that. I'm very happy with my decision. I made it on my own, no outside influence. It was nothing to do with what my doctors had said. It just was purely, I think now's a good time. So yeah.
It is interesting you say that. Like, I'd say 2 years ago, maybe when we first met, Georgia, I was like absolutely not interested in kids whatsoever. Like you couldn't convince me. And now I'm like 50-50. I'd be like, yeah, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah. You know what? I think you also get to a stage in your life where you're kind of like, oh, I can see why people do this,
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
You get it now. It's such a beautiful process. And I've been very lucky that I've not had a horrendous pregnancy. I was very sick for 16 weeks. And when I look back, I'm like, that was a really horrible time. But all of the wonderful moments really outweigh the tough moments. And I think that's what parenthood is about, like all of the really great moments of having your own child and being part of their life and helping them grow up and all that kind of stuff really outweigh the stuff that people scare you with, like, oh, you're not going to sleep again or anything like that. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I trained for a marathon. I know what it's like to be tired.
Yeah. And it's actually so funny you say that. I was thinking about this the other day. When I was training for the marathons, a lot of people, there was this whole stat that came out that was like, training for a marathon is really similar to pregnancy, or pregnancy basically is equivalent to running a marathon every single day. And I was a bit like, nah, man, running a marathon is really hard. Like, I have done that. That is really fucking hard. And don't downplay how hard marathons are. But now that I've been pregnant, I'm like, I can see why they say that because it is very exhausting. I think it's a different kind of feeling. It's no way, I would never say that they're the same feeling. Running a marathon is very much like a sustained effort over, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, and you're exhausted afterwards. But this is like a long, drawn out effort over 24 hours, and then you get a shit night's sleep and then you do it all over again. But yeah, I'm glad I haven't put you off wanting kids, which is, the bonus of this.
Yeah. I don't know what Sam and I are ever going to do, but
see what happens.
See what happens. Yeah, I'm no longer completely opposed to being a father. Let's put it like that.
Oh, stop it. You would
Yeah.
make a great dad. And can you imagine, like, they get to 5 and you can, like, enter them into their own little mini triathlon and they do, like, a little 500-meter run and a bike ride. Oh, so cute.
Iron Man at 5.
I
Send it.
know. Matt's like, you're either doing an Ironman or you're not part of this family.
That's it. Yep. Sleep out the back until you work it out.
He's joking, guys. Just can you imagine if someone clipped that and was like, Matt hates children.
We're out here breeding world champions. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, look, that'd be character building.
It's good for the soul. It's just camping.
Yeah, your child and your potential child and my child will be on totally different wavelengths. It's like my nephews are all like, they're from the country, so they're all like camping, fishing, doing all the things. Like my brothers own a fishing store, like all the stuff.
Fuck yeah.
Like they've got the best life down there. But my kid's gonna like go home to see their cousins and they'll be like, ew. Such a city kid. Anyway, I digress. How are you, Matt?
I'm great, Georgia. I'm fantastic.
Yeah, why are you so
Yeah.
fantastic? What's happening?
I over the weekend I recently fell in love with endurance training, or I could feel that process starting to happen again, and like coaching myself and like bit of progress, and started to see a couple of small wins since being back in training, and just like starting to get excited for this Ironman block, which probably for the last 2 or 3 weeks I haven't been. I've just been like feeling fat and slow and lazy.
Yeah, fair.
I put on like 4 kilos when I had the moon boot on after UTA. So anyone who knows, like, you put on a couple of kilos and you go for a run and you're like, this is the worst experience of my life. So
That's pregnancy running for you.
yeah, look who I'm talking to. So
Yeah.
so first, I'm still probably a few kilos heavy, but like starting to feel like a bit of progress, starting to see like I started writing out my training block and different things like that. So just, in a relatively good mood, all things considered, especially like UTA and COSI. I didn't really train or coach. I just sort of was like, I'm just going to go for a run. And that was sort of the length of my training plan. Where this is like Ironman's far more technical and nerdy. So I'm sort of like really nerding out the numbers, which is good.
Yeah. So tell me, are you self-coaching for the Ironman or have you got a coach again?
No, self-coaching. I am adamant that I don't want there to be any excuses. So everything relies on me. Like,
Okay.
I don't want to finish Busso and then go, coach was no good, or like I knew I should have done more VO2 work or done more race specific stuff. But no, like that was all on me. Like if I wanted that, I should have done that. So yeah, it's this one's very, like I said, last time I'm doing it, it's very personal, and yeah, so I'm taking a lot of time and a lot of attention to detail on everything for me. And like when you're self-coaching, you've got to be so critical, and because like it's so easy to be like, give yourself the easy option, or like mid-session want to change it. So it's like you've got to be you've got to understand your logic and your reason and your why behind everything. And like for every session, for every interval, otherwise you'll just talk yourself out of it. So there's a lot of work going into it, which I'm excited about.
That is exciting. And are you still working with a nutritionist, dietitian, sorry, or are you going to do that yourself with all your knowledge from the past?
I'm trying to do everything myself, trying to get down to...
Yeah. Okay, so like literally everything.
Literally everything, yeah.
Cool.
From the only outside source I'm working with is my bike fitter, just because I'm not knowledgeable on bike fitting, and they've got like a whole bunch of tech to help me get in the most aerodynamic position possible. And I go to swim squad twice a week now, which is something I haven't done. So I guess half of my swimming is outsourced, but that's like kind of negligible, I guess, in the scheme of things, because I still have enough swimming that I program myself to make up for any of that.
I also think like swim squad is good for like morale and like mental, like you got to be around people. You can't do it all completely isolated.
Because swimming sucks, and swimming by yourself sucks more.
It's hard. It is. It's very isolating because, running and stuff, you can be out there and you have music and stuff. And as much as you can have underwater headphones, it's just not the same. So,
Yeah, not the same. Yeah.
nah. So I think I think it's a good idea to be doing some sort of group activity for this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really enjoying it. It was like the first time where I was like, I'm excited to go and train and excited to start building and, writing down the numbers that I need to hit and doing the periodization and all that sort of stuff. So all the nerdy stuff I really like that I get to do for all the TPP athletes, I was actually doing for myself, which is, it's a lot of fun.
I love that. And what's in the week ahead for you? Talk to me about what your training looks like next week.
Yeah. So I'm giving myself 4 weeks. So next week will be week 4 of just like have to train a minimum of an hour and a half a day. Have to do at least 2 swims, 2 bikes, 2 runs every single day, 3 strength sessions every single day, every single week, 3 strength sessions. And then I just sort of literally they're just fun sessions. Whatever I feel like doing, that's a bit of fun, I will go and do just to tick that box. And then the week of GC Marathon, I'll do a testing week. So I'll see where all my baseline numbers are at. And then come back from GC on Monday. And that's like the start of the training block. So nothing like super interesting this coming week. Just swim, bike and run, a couple of lifting sessions. And that's it. But then after that, we'll start getting serious.
Cool. How exciting. I love it because I'm not training for anything. So I'm excited to hear about someone else's training because it's something interesting.
And no lows, which is nice as well.
Good. Yeah, like I'm the same. No lows. I mean, sore.
Yeah.
So my shoulder is absolutely killing me and I do not know why. I had to book in an emergency visit to my physio tomorrow because I don't know why. During the night, I just get this sharp stabbing pain in my shoulder and I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Like I've never had shoulder pains before. So that's my low. It's killing me. So anyway, that's a very random fact for everyone.
On the scale, that's like not too bad.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah.
I know all the other things that's happening right now. If I made a list, it would really put anyone off being pregnant. But we just try not to think about them. Should we get into some of these listener questions? Because, there's quite a few of them and I think this is going to be a really good episode.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah? Is there anyone that you want to start with today, Matt?
No, dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice. Oh my God, I've got a funny story about dealer's choice really quickly. I'm just going to digress. So dealer's choice is like a normal saying, right? Like,
I think so. Like I say it all the time.
I say it all the time too. One of my friends is like, oh, what juice do you want from the juice bar? And I was just like, they texted me and I was like, oh, dealer's choice. And they literally went up there and was like, I'll have a dealer's choice, please.
Oh.
They were like, they don't have a dealer's choice on the menu. And I was like, what do you mean? And I thought that was just a normal saying, but apparently people don't know it.
I mean, there are a lot of sayings that I know I say that I get, like maybe people in the city don't get, like they haven't heard it.
Yeah.
But like, there are also ones where I'm like, oh, you just don't have any common sense. It's like you're just a few watts short. You know what I mean?
What's that saying? It's like a few something short of a Oh fuck, I forgot.
There's a million different ones. There's a million. My dad can rattle them off like there's no tomorrow. I've been insulted by him in so many different ways I don't even know.
My favorite that my pop used to say to me was, "You're not as silly as you look."
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't care what they say about you.
Dealer's choice. First question comes from Stacey Lee. Hey guys, I was just wondering what your thoughts were on this or if anyone else is experiencing the same thing. I was wondering how you tell the difference between if I'm overdoing it or if I need to just rest or if it's general fatigue that is required for adaptation. At this point, I actually asked Stacey. I said, Stacey, great question, but I need more context and so will Matt. So she said, some context to this. I'm into trail running. I have some trail events and I'm planning on running for only fun and no pressure at all. I just love running. I'm focused on getting the kilometers on my legs and I'm consistent in training with the thought of building a good base. I run 3 days a week, park run on Saturday, which is where I push myself a bit. And the other 2 runs are generally 7 to 8K, adding half a kilometer each week to the 10 kilometers. Both super easy runs. I also do strength 2 days and rest 2 days. I find the most trouble is lingering DOMs from the gym. And if I do a larger trail run in place of my 10K, which happens, oh God, I'm confused already. Basically, she's saying if she does a larger run, it seems to really fatigue her legs faster in the week, even if she backs down on the weights or the pace. So she just wants to know, basically, at what point do you know if it's fatigue or if it's the type of fatigue that's, required to get better? It's a very long question. I'm so sorry.
It's very long. No, it's fine. If you're resting 2 days per week, running 3 and doing 2 strength training sessions, we can rule out overtraining. Like just as straight up, it's not going to be overtraining. The next decision that we need to make is where is the next constraint, or where is the next bottleneck? And that would be the DOMs. So I would say number one, let's look at your strength training. If your DOMs are so bad that that's affecting running, are you doing like legs twice a week or 2 like leg heavy movements? If you are, like, can we make maybe 1 a lower body day, 1 an upper body day? If you do have that split, like, can we just reduce the intensity or the weights by 10 or 15% just to sort of bring that down? That would be my first 2 protocols. And then honestly, that'd be it. Like if you're resting 2 days per week, like there is something that you're doing fundamentally wrong in your strength training if the DOMs are that bad as well. And like your running volume isn't huge. So yeah, I would be like how do we review that strength training and how do we make it more either reduce frequency that we're hitting the muscle or reduce intensity.
Yeah, because I can see like park runs are Saturday where they push themselves, and then 2 easy zone 2 runs, and then the gym 2 days. So yeah, I would be the same. I wouldn't say that you're overdoing it.
Yeah,
It
because
also
if we
could
look at
be
that,
like,
it's like park runs 5K, long runs 10K, your zone 2, even if we said that's another 10K, which is probably
Yeah.
not if your long runs 10K, like it's only 25 kilometers a week. Like it's not a huge amount of volume.
Yeah, it's kind of like where in your life as well that's adding extra stresses to your training. So maybe you look at like, what's your sleep quality like? Are you staying up super late and doing stuff, on your phone so that your sleep is affected? Are
Are
you
you eating
stressed
enough?
are you eating enough? How's your fueling? There's that. There's also, like, as we said, work stresses, if that's contributing to your like health in terms of, if you're mentally exhausted as well, that can play a physical role on that. Yeah, I guess there's not much else we can really, besides knowing even more context, but it's hard to know much more than just
Yeah,
it's
I don't
must be
think
something from the gym.
yeah, like my prescription probably wouldn't change. But if your DOMs are affecting running on only 2 days of strength work, you're either hitting your legs too frequently that your body can handle, or the intensity is too high when you are hitting them, or both.
Okay, cool. Hopefully that helps you, Stacey. She's a definitely a long-time listener. I've seen her in our DMs quite a bit, so I love that. Next question comes from Sarah. Hey, Matt and Georgia, I have a question about motivation. Some weeks I'm absolutely loving my training, and other weeks I can't think of anything worse than putting my shoes on. Do you think motivation naturally comes and goes for everyone, or is there something that you do to stay consistent when you don't really feel like running?
Hit it, G.
In the past, we've always talked about that you should never rely solely on motivation. You have to rely on consistency and also not dedication. What's the word I'm thinking of here, Matt? Starts with a D. Discipline. Thank you. So on the days where you're feeling really shit and you don't want to put your shoes on, Sarah, this is where your kind of discipline comes in. So, if you make a really good habit out of getting up and going for your runs and stuff, it'll be second nature. You're not relying on like having the motivation to get out of bed, because if I relied purely on motivation, I'd get nothing done, because sometimes, like, motivation is not there, and it's not always going to be there. Sometimes you don't have a big race to look forward to. You're just trying to get up and do your runs so that you can stay consistent with your training, that your fitness can be consistent, you can feel good, your body feels good. And if you're just relying on something external like motivation, it's going to be really hard to get out of bed. So I think really working on the consistency and the discipline in your training is really going to help you.
Yeah. I don't want to say famous for, but like I definitely stand by the point of like motivation's bullshit, and like no one should, like, don't ever rely on it because you have no control over it. I tell all of my athletes, like, control the controllables. Can't control motivation. Like, it comes and goes. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You watch a particular Instagram video or YouTube video and you're like, fuck yeah, let's go. And then you watch the same video 2 days later, it has no effect. So if there's no rhyme or reason or way to control it, you should not rely on it. So I said this last week, like, hard things are hard, and that's what you've signed up for. So it's like when motivation disappears, that's what you signed up for. You signed up for a challenge. You signed up to do something hard. This is what hard feels like. Put your shoes on, go for a run.
Yeah, that's the grit and the determination you need if you want to be an endurance athlete. Is like, you need to be able to pick up your shoes on the days where you don't want to do it. Block out that head noise. Just be like, right, I'm going to put on a really good podcast, or I'm going to put on a killer playlist, head out for a run. And yeah, just don't think about it too much. If it's a crap run, then it was a crap run. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, and like, Georgia, you've said this before, and I don't necessarily subscribe to this, but I think it does help the listeners. The rule of thirds.
Yeah.
Third of your runs are going to be fantastic, and they're probably like either motivation driven or feel really good. A third are just meh in the middle. They're probably more disciplined type runs, and a third are going to be horrific. And guess what? Like, that's just all part of it. So, I I don't think any athlete should ever rely on motivation. And if you think you're going to be motivated, you will never make it in this sport.
Perfect. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Well, Jacinta popped a question in that popped up literally seconds before we hit record on the episode. So, Jacinta, you've gotten in
all
just
of my
in time.
All of my pre-show preparation ruined.
The one time he looks at it.
My extensive pre-show preparation.
Jacinta has asked, on last week's episode, Matt mentioned holding off on any type of weightlifting 1 week prior to a race. Is this the same principle for a strength endurance event like a Hyrox? I do a mix of weightlifting and running, but find that if I have a few days off, either my body is really sore the moment that I return, or I've gotten used to continuous training and think that my body responds better by continuing. I'm sorry, I really should have proofread this. Should you also weight taper for events like Hyrox? I'm trying to find a happy medium where I am refreshed.
Yeah, so realistically, you shouldn't do any strength training sort of like 7 days before an event, just because like micro tears, all that sort of stuff, they need time to heal. In terms of Hyrox athletes, most of them, and I don't know what they're doing in the elite level, I don't follow the sport closely enough, but at least the Hyrox athletes I've worked with who have come from me, maybe for other coaches and stuff, and I put them through what we'd call like a textbook taper or like a classic taper, what I do for Georgia for a marathon, myself for an Ironman, something like that. They're like, what is going on? Like, I've never done this before. So chances are like you just haven't tapered before. And most people who haven't tapered generally just race week, they just cut everything out and they're like, oh, I guess I'll just rest for the week. And then they wonder why they feel like shit come race day. So I would say, yes, you've got to pull strength training out. You could keep ergs in. Ergs are a form of resistance because you can play with the resistance on them. You want to keep a certain level of intensity in, so you can use again the ergs. You can use the Aerodyne bikes. You could do wall balls very, very lightly, probably the weight under what you normally would do. You can run on the treadmill. I would definitely be pulling it out and pulling pure strength training out, and then just keeping some form of like very, very light movement with bursts of race day intensity.
So interesting. I'm not in the world of Hyrox at all, so it's interesting to hear your answer to that because yeah, I've
The thing
wondered
about
that.
the thing about Hyrox is, and I have gotten in trouble for saying this in the past, but that's all right. It's the easiest sport in the world because it doesn't change. And I don't mean I shouldn't say easy. It's the simplest sport in the world because it doesn't change.
Hmm.
Like you know what the run stations are, you know what the stations are, the ergs, the wall balls, the sled pushes, etc. They don't change the order, nothing. So like it's very very easy to program for. It's very very easy to tape before. Like it's extremely simple. So that means the taper is just as simple. You just need to reduce load 7 to 10 days before and keep a certain level of intensity that works for your body. If you're a slow twitch athlete, your volume might be a little bit higher, intensity lower. Fast twitch athlete, which most of our Hyrox guys are, intensity slightly higher, volume slightly lower.
Cool. Perfect. I'm sure that's going to be nice and interesting for our Hyrox athletes who have wondered the same thing because generally if someone's asking the question to us that other people, have the same
There's more than
question,
one.
there's more than one. Question here from Aaron. Hey guys, I have a question about the 5K time trial. Just listened to this one yesterday. I could ask the coaches, but I thought this might be a good one for the pod as I'm sure it might affect many people. What if an athlete has performance anxiety? They had a bad sleep the night before or something felt off on their 5K run and they severely messed it up. I know a few people that can train really well, but as soon as you put them in the spotlight, they crumble under pressure, which means that they'll always struggle to show a real 5K time. How does that impact the training block and what is the best way to address it?
Yeah, so there's like 17 questions in that. Shout out Aaron. He's a performance project athlete. Um, cool. So I I've noticed this more and more the more and more as we've taken more and more athletes on at TPP. Wasn't something we ever really dealt with. Like, so I've given Georgia 5K time trials, I don't know how many times. Never was like, don't want to do it, or I've got performance anxiety, or like finished it and been like, I had more in the tank. Like, she's just always like, yep, sweet, done it. And most of our athletes are like that. But I have noticed a trend more and more where they're like, they get this anxiety about doing a fitness test. And something I have worked on really, really, I'm just sort of going to digress and I'll come back to you, Aaron. Something I have worked on a lot in coaching is understanding what athletes are actually saying. So an athlete will say to me, oh, Matt, I'm super nervous about this fitness test. And you're like, okay, like, what are you nervous about? And they're like, what if I don't PB? And you're like, did I ask you to PB? Does it say PB on the pre-race, on the pre-workout notes? I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, so like, we don't need to worry about that. Like, oh, what if I didn't go as fast as last time? I'm like, does it say that? Does it say you need to beat your time? Like, understanding where that anxiety is coming from and like finding the root cause is sometimes like you can just kill it like that. So most athletes will come up with something in their head and they'll paint a narrative and they'll just run with it. And then all of a sudden they're 7 layers deep in on it and they forgot even where they started. If you're a person who suffers with performance anxiety, just be like, cool, like what's the actual outcome I'm trying to achieve here? It's like, I need to run 5 kilometers as hard as I can. If I don't do that, then okay, like it's not the end of the world. I'm not gonna fuck it up that bad. The second part of that is most athletes, and I'll just use arbitrary numbers. Let's say your PB is a 30-minute 5K and you come in and you run a 31-minute 5K. You're like, oh, it was awful. I was so slow. I was like, well, you're only 60 seconds behind. Like, it's not the end of the world. So it's like, let's actually do the math on that and then go only, and again, made up numbers, guys, don't actually math check me on this, but you're only 7% behind what you were last time. It's like, let's just do it again next week. And it's like, oh, you came in at 30. Okay, sweet. So you're actually only 30, you're only 3.5% behind your PB. Like, cool, not a big deal. Like, let's just work on that. So understanding, number one, the root cause of like where that anxiety comes from, really, really important. And I talk to all of our coaches at TPP about like when an athlete messages you of something, got to define that term, got to like, oh, I'm I don't know if I can do this, or I'm scared about this. Like, they're not actually scared about the whole thing. They're scared about one thing, and one thing they're unsure about. You got to identify that one thing. And then the next is like, okay, worst possible outcome. You absolutely shit the bed with the workout and it's horrific. But okay. And like, we can just do it again next week, or like, it's not the end of the world. Look, unless we're actually going to race or we're going to do something, it's not that bad. So they're the first two, like identify the problem, identify worst case scenario, shine a light on both of them, say, it's cool, we got this. Now, yeah, go Drew.
No, I was just going to say, I just feel like the two things you just mentioned there, like identify the problem and obviously like worst case scenario and stuff. These are all things that are really helping you get ready for races as well. Like at the end of the day, you're doing this because you love it, right? You're doing this because this is something you love doing. So worst case scenario, you did a 5K and you learned something. You know, like there's definitely been times that I've done this 5K time trial with Matt and I was like, I have to get a PB because this is my chance to get a PB. And I have got a PB and I'm like, okay, cool. Or I haven't got a PB and I'm like, okay, like whatever. The whole point is to get the numbers, right? You're doing this to understand your heart rate and, you know, your threshold and all these sorts of things. And so at the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen is that you just have to redo it. Like it's not a big deal. It's okay. And as someone who does suffer from anxiety, and I definitely get nervous in these things as well, that as my Nick always says to me, he's always like, okay, like let's talk through what it is that's actually, as you said, identify them. So what is it that's making you nervous? And what's the worst case scenario? And then really, am I going to worry about this in a week's time? Is this going to like affect me in a month's time? If the answer is no, then it's okay. Just go out and just give it your best. That's all that matters.
Yeah. And I think also, and this is probably for maybe slightly more experienced athletes, or if you have a coach, actually sitting down there and being like, let's say you come in and you don't set the PB, you don't have the performance that you want. Talk to your coach or talk to yourself and go, what did I think I was capable of? And let's say that 30-minute 5K athlete was, I think I could run 29. Let's say Georgia comes to me and she's like, cool, I think I could run 29. I'd be like, awesome. I've gone through the last 12 weeks of your training program. Nowhere on here do I think that's actually possible. Like, I think that you probably would have run, based on your current fitness, based on our current training, 31 minutes. That's probably about where you're at. Like, when you're not in PB shape, like that's pretty accurate. Or you'd be like, actually, these 3 workouts here, you held 29 minutes, 29-minute pace for 3Ks, 2Ks, and a 4K block. But yeah, I actually think you probably could run 29 minutes. So like, we don't need you to actually run it. I can just set your threshold to a little bit faster than what you did do. Let's train you for a couple of weeks, see if you adapt. So just because you don't hit it, if there is enough evidence throughout your training, you can still play around with those numbers. So that's probably a little bit more of an advanced tactic, or if you have a coach, something you can do, but something that you can definitely put into your like post either race or post like key performance debrief.
Okay, and so that would kind of answer what Aaron has asked here, where he says, how does that impact the training block and what is the best way to address it? Is like, it's not going to impact your whole training block, right? It's just one way of looking at different numbers and programming.
Yeah, and most athletes think they've done way worse than what they have. So yeah, if they're like, oh, it was horrific. You're like, no, you're like 5% off, dude. Like, it's fine. Like, we'll play with the numbers. It's okay. And it's like, if in 2 weeks' time it's too hard, we'll know that, but we'll just dial it back a bit. If it's too easy, we're like, okay, you definitely had more in the tank. Like, let's ramp it up a bit.
Yeah, it's a bit like that saying that's like, what if I fall? And it's like, yeah, but what if you fly? Like, maybe you're going to be amazing. Maybe, yeah, you've got the anxiety and that just means you're passionate about it. So maybe, what if you go out there and you absolutely crush the 5K time trial and you get a really good time? It's not the most important thing, but maybe you will do really well. So try and remind yourself of that as well. Like, sometimes the things can go right.
And just on that, this is something that I learned when I started my first business, was like, where does anxiety come from? And anxiety comes from a lack of preparation or the unknown. So it means like you don't have control over something. So again, like identifying that root cause, but then being like, okay, like what can I do to prepare for this? Like, have I done the preparation? Most people are only nervous on start lines if and we'll just use this in a racing context, if they know like I skipped that session, I didn't give it my all, I didn't tick those boxes, like that's, and I've spoke about this in my Ironman prep, like when I get on that start line, I'm the calmest I've ever been because I know I don't leave anything to chance. I know Georgia I saw Georgia the morning of sub 4, cool as, just like
Yeah.
didn't even know she was about to do the marathon. Like, and then you see other people who are shaking and vomiting and like carrying on. And you're just like, oh, you've probably skipped your fucking 3 biggest runs. Like,
Yeah.
like, and that doesn't mean you're going to fail, but it just like, that's where that anxiety comes from. It's from a lack of preparation. So if you do get performance anxiety about a race or about a specific workout, like, cool, like what can I do to bridge that gap? What can I do to make sure I'm fully prepared? Whether that's recovery, whether that's talking to a coach, whether that's understanding the paces, whether that's maybe postponing it a week and getting another key session in, or doing some form of taper or taking care of an injury, whatever it might be. So always think about like, what is the thing I haven't prepared for? Or what am I doubting myself on?
Okay, perfect. I think that's a
Did
great...
that answer all of his questions?
Yeah, so I was just double checking that now as I was going through it. I think that definitely has. That actually is a good jump into our next question. There's a question here from Paul. It said, I listened to the 5K episode, but I still don't get why a 5K race has anything to do with my marathon.
Okay. Fair.
That's you, Matt.
That's me. Cool. So I actually had a few people message me about this, and maybe I didn't like, in that episode, I didn't do the best way of making it simple and digestible for athletes. So we might even do a mini series on the 5K one day, make you guys super fast. How the 5K relates to marathon pacing. So it doesn't relate to the marathon in terms of fitness. It relates in terms of theoretical pacing. So your marathon pace should be 70 to 80%. For most people listening to this podcast, that beginner to intermediate type athlete should be 70 to 80% of your 5K pace. Or if you're doing it the other way, it's 105 to 115%, depends on which way you work, but same numbers. So if you are a 540, what were you, Georgia? You're a 540 marathon runner and your 5K was like 25 minutes?
24.
For
24 something. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can imagine just like a pyramid, however high that pyramid goes is the top of your 5K pace, 70 to 80% of the way down, that is your marathon window. That's your zone 3, just for simple terms. That's the middle of the pyramid. So the taller your pyramid, the faster you can run a 5K. Theoretically, the faster your marathon pace is. Now, obviously, you need to do the adequate endurance work to back that up, have the aerobic base underneath to support the base of the pyramid. But the taller that pyramid is, the faster you can run that 5K, that gives you more potential to run a marathon quicker. Does that make sense?
Cool. I think it does. But again, as you've mentioned in the past, sometimes when you word it slightly differently, it helps people understand it a little bit better.
Yeah. Another general rule of thumb is adding like 25 to 40 seconds to your 5K time per kilometer. Like that'll probably put you in the ballpark as well. So if you are a 25-minute 5K runner, your 5K pace is probably going to be 5:30, 5:40, give or take. Like, again, not an exact science, but like it'll put you in the ballpark. Georgia was probably like mid 24s to 24 high, something like that. She was a 5:40 marathon. That's probably like a minute added. So it's like, yeah, not an exact science, but like it'll put you in the ballpark.
Cool. Perfect. Another one on the 5K.
Oh, okay.
This one it's a couple on the 5K. We definitely need to do a mini series on this, I think. Xavier has asked, Matt, you said that you have to retest your 5K every 8 to 12 weeks, but what if your 5K time doesn't move? Does that mean your training isn't working or that something else is going on?
Yeah, this is a cool question. So this comes down to what you're training for. And that might sound like a super easy answer, but if you're training to be a 5K runner and you do an 8 to 12 week block in your 5K, it doesn't move, that's an issue. That's something we need to look at in training. That just means you're not doing enough training above 5K pace. So we're trying to again, thinking about that pyramid, we're trying to drag the pyramid from the top and we're trying to stretch it out. We're trying to build out that zone 4, zone 5, really focus on that anaerobic type training. Now, if you're training for a marathon and you do a 12-week block and your 5K doesn't move, that means like that's actually awesome. Like most people, when they do do an endurance block, whether that's marathon, ultra, Ironman, whatever, all of their top end numbers start to dip because they've built out so much like aerobic base. So they can train theoretically 80, 85, 90% of 5K pace and stay there for hours. But going from like 85 to 100% is very, very difficult for them because they just haven't built up that anaerobic threshold. They haven't built, it's not robust enough. We talk about those dam walls. Those dam walls are flimsy in zones 3, 4, and 5. They just get washed out. So it all depends on what the training stimulus is. If you are training for a 5K and it doesn't move, we need to do more training above 5K pace. We need to do more pure VO2 work, more threshold work, building out to longer intervals, depending on what your 1K pace is. 110 to 120% of 1K time. So if you're a 4-minute per K runner, running 350 to 345 pace for 4 minutes, 4 minutes 10, 4 minutes 20, something like that. On the other hand, if you are a marathon runner and you've tested your 5K at the start of the block, gone to run your marathon, but cool, going to do another block and your 5K hasn't moved, your aerobic capacity is huge at the moment. Like you were doing what was previously anaerobic work aerobically, and it's like awesome. Now we just got to do some more 5K work and we're going to stretch that out, and you're probably not too far away from knocking a minute or two off your 5K time.
In the same breath that you say that, like say you did a whole block and your 5K does change, is that an indicator for something else as well, or is that also good?
Which training stimulus?
So I'm training for a marathon. I did my 5K and it was 28 minutes. And then I'm towards the end of my block, we're retesting because, we're doing the 8 to 12 weeks. So we're retesting that after 12 weeks, for example. And my time goes drastically down to like 25. Is that good or is that bad?
So slight caveat, if you were testing just before your marathon when you're like peaking, you'll probably run a really, really good 5K. I wouldn't say that is the truest number because you're about to dip down post-marathon. And like when you retest a couple of weeks post-marathon, when you're deconditioned, it'll be a little bit skew-if. So there is that caveat. If you were to test post-marathon and you had that dramatic change, you're probably more on the beginner side. You just don't really see that in intermediate to advanced athletes just because they're so conditioned. But for a beginner athlete, like them just being fitter would give them significant changes. So yeah, for the majority of athletes, you probably wouldn't see it. But on that beginner side, like that would just be, hey, you're just a way fitter human now.
Okay. So it's not something to be worried about if it changes.
No, definitely not. No.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Now, this one's a little bit more of a meatier question. I'm going to do my best to read it out and not stuff it up.
Okay.
I tend to get a bit nervous reading out the questions and then I start to stumble. So I have actually, just to say, I have slightly changed a few of how this was written just for pacing, just because it was, when you're chatting to someone, all the questions are kind of everywhere. So this question comes from Jess. Hi, Matt and Georgia. Long-time listener, first-time question. We love it. Thank you so much for writing into us. I've heard Matt break down training frequency for other listeners' goals, and I'd love that treatment for mine. Some context, which Matt loves. I'm a former competitive swimmer and water polo player who started running a couple of years ago. I ran Sydney Marathon last year in 4 hours and 15 minutes, and I'm doing it again this year, time chasing a sub 4. My current training is 3 runs a week, intervals, an easy run and a long run, plus 2 strength sessions. I work as a hospital physio, so I'm on my feet and physically active all day, and I'm quite injury prone and sensitive to load, which is why I've stuck at 3 runs rather than pushing to 4. Is sub 4 realistic on this setup, or am I better off adjusting my goal? I'd rather know and have an honest answer now than be disappointed on the day, since my main aim is to have fun and enjoy the race.
Okay, a lot of things to go into here. Um, let's get rid of the. As a physio, I'm surprised she might know the answer to this, but maybe she doesn't. Most, and we see this a lot in triathlon, we get a lot of competitive swimmers, maybe like don't make the level they want to make, and that cool triathlon is like the next progression. If you grew up swimming, your bone density is just super low. So you are just, and your ligaments are, they're just not strong. Let's keep it as simple as possible.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
you just haven't had that impact. Like kids who played footy, like sports where there are impact, whether that's just running on the ground, bone density significantly higher, like an order of magnitude 3 to 4x higher. Tendon strength significantly higher. Hand-eye coordination, lateral stability, all of those things off the charts higher. So that was, I would have a very, very strong punt that is where your injury bug comes from. Now, can you get there doing 3 runs per week? Absolutely, you can. I would need so much more context on like what you're doing in terms of tempo sessions, where your pacing is, all that sort of stuff. But 3 runs per week, it would not be a limiter. If you're worried about overall cardiovascular fitness, I would introduce some sort of cross training. So after your strength sessions, getting on the bike, getting on the treadmill, stair climb, or something like that, even the elliptical to take some of that impact out, and just trying to accumulate as much aerobic fitness as you can without impact. And
How long
then
aerobics? Sorry, quick question. How long aerobics should they be doing after that session? That's
30
beneficial.
to 30 to 60 minutes is fine.
Okay, cool.
Again, like I wouldn't treat these sessions as huge fitness gains. I would treat them as I am topping up my tank with just a little bit, and I'm lowering my risk of injury. So if we were to go out and do that additional hour of running, let's say she does 2 half-an-hour bikes post-strength session, if we were to translate it to running and it's another 1 hour easy run, injury risk would start to increase. We don't need to do that. What I would then do is I would probably shorten my easy run. So whatever my one single easy run is, and then I would start to increase the intensity on my long run, starting to implement specific race pace timing. So when we start talking about, and I'll put 2 caveats in here, but when we start talking about pacing and we start talking about I am chasing a certain time, you need exposure to that stimulus. You need exposure at running sub 540 per kilometer. You need to be able to do it. And I'd say sub 540, but like within 10%, so up to 550 or within 10 seconds, excuse me, up to 550, 555 at the absolute max on a bad day. And then like on a good day, you might be down in the 530s. Obviously, I've done this a million times with Georgia. We did this for fucking 18 months to get her there. You need exposure at that time. So that doesn't mean running your whole runs at it, but cool. We're 11 weeks out now. So probably should be doing somewhere between 8 and 10 kilometers split out into multiple intervals during your long runs. And then we'll build up to 12, 15, 18, 21, bring it back down. And then we'd probably do 2 lots of 10, 3 lots of 7, 4 lots of, 3 lots of 8, and then into 2 lots of 9 maybe, and then back up to say 3 lots of 10, something like that at race pace. Probably half kilometer to a kilometer float in between, and then you'd taper, and then you'd be ready. Easy as that.
I was like, yep, that's the big daddy. I'm like going through all the sessions in my head.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Oh,
go for it, Joe.
No, I was just saying I'm getting excited for being able to do that myself. It's just like in another world there, thinking about how good it's going to be able to do those fun sessions again.
Yeah. So you definitely can. You just need to be more specific with your training, and you might already be like you maybe left that detail out, which is fine. Feel free to message me if you like. But yeah, injuries come from lack of bone density. So to fix that, more calcium and like deadlifts, squats, even things like step ups, box jumps, things that are going to create a bit of impact. We could also look at some downhill running. We spoke about that in our trail running episode. I probably wouldn't say that's super necessary, but maybe in the off season, something you want to start to address, you could start incorporating hill reps. Trail running just in general would be great for you, just because like it takes a bit of impact out and you sort of get the uphill, downhill, and it'll help again with bone density, tendon strength, and then introducing some plyometrics. I like to do plyos. It's something I'm going to be incorporating to TPP Sundays after long runs. So do your long run, go recover, and then like a 20-minute at home, literally all body weight. You could do it in the garage, bedroom, lounge room, whatever. Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, 20 minutes of plyos. It'll make a huge difference to tendon strength as well.
Yeah, plyos are great. It's going to be my suggestion if you hadn't mentioned it, was definitely doing some plyos, because they help so much. And I found a lot of the plyos helped me with my hip last year. That was all the stuff that I started to introduce, and like a lot of the single leg plyos, like where you're really like jumping out on one foot and like you're jumping side to side to get all those different movements. So yeah, that was so interesting. Thank you, Matt, for answering her question. Hopefully that's helped her. I'm sure it does, but feel free to reach out to us and we can answer it a bit more if you need more. All right,
And just on that, Georgia,
Yeah.
we do have 3 spots available for TPP coaching. I'm just going to put it in there. If you want to be coached by me and Zoe, we've opened up 3 more spots. I'm pretty sure it's going to be that to the end of July. So first come, best dressed. performanceproject.com.au. It's in the show notes. You reach out on Instagram, whatever. But don't miss out, because once those 3 spots are gone, we literally can't take anyone else on until we hire another coach. So up to you guys. If you don't miss out.
And if anyone's listening and is a, performance endurance coach, like, let us know.
Yeah, that's yeah.
If you're listening to kind of tune in to see what we're saying because you're like, well, this is what I do because I'm a coach and I'm being a sticky beak, let us know.
Yeah, we got a job
Maybe you
for
can be part of the team.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to check here. Okay, we've got 2 more questions. One
Love
question here is from Claudia. You said most athletes should race less and train more. What's the minimum race schedule that still gives you the data that you need as a coach without eating into the training block?
Context. Race less. I mean, race less A races. I think people treat every race as an A race. So they're like, I'm going to do Gold Coast, then I'm going to do Sydney, and then I'm going to do Melbourne. I'm like, well, you can't
And then I
fucking
want to
race
PB
them.
all of them.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work like that. So, like, for example, in an Ironman season, I might race 2 or 3 70.3s and a full distance, and then my second full distance would be my A race, and maybe I had 1 half A race. So I've raced 5 times, 2 A races. For a marathon, for example, or marathon block, I might get Georgia to run 2 or 3 halves, one of them being an A race where we pull data from. The rest are just glorified training runs where we're focusing on nutrition or a certain type of pacing, and then we should have a block marathon. Just because it's not an A race doesn't mean you can't pull data from it. Again, it comes back down to that specificity, and this is something that like we really work on with our coaches to make sure that no run is wasted. It doesn't matter if it is a 1 hour easy run or a half marathon training run or a 36K long run. What are we getting out of it? So if I was to send Georgia off to do the Parramatta half on the weekend that just went, I'd be like, cool, what we're going to do in preparation for Sydney Marathon is I want you to run the last 10Ks at sub 5:40 pace, and I want to make sure that you hit 3 gels in that last 10Ks. Like, that's your only goal. And she'd be like, cool, I'm going to do that. And she'd come back to me and be like, 5:40 was walk in the park, felt super good, but the gels didn't sit right. I'm like, cool, like, let's look at those gels, or let's look at the electrolytes. Like, what did you have? And then that's the data we pulled from it. I actually don't care about what a heart rate was. I don't care about what pacing was for the first half of the race. I care about that little pocket. So just because you are doing a race doesn't mean it needs to be a PB, and doesn't mean that we need to take all the data from it. You might go, that opening 10Ks was fantastic, and then I blew up and the last 10 or 11Ks of the half marathon was a disaster. Cool, like, let's look at that. Oh, you actually went out way too hot, didn't warm up properly, and we could see like your heart rate, you never got your heart rate back under control. You ran about an hour at threshold. And what is threshold? Threshold is the maximal output that we can hold for an hour. After that, you blew up and you started to fade. It's like, cool, like we can fix that. So data points, data is everywhere. You just got to know which data to look at. And we talk about that as well when athletes go, oh, I'm not getting any faster in my zone 2 runs. But it's like, oh, your heart rate's 8 beats lower, or
Yeah.
you're able to do twice the amount of volume in a training week than what you did when you started. So you just got to know which data to look at. So does that answer the question? I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there.
No, that was a fantastic answer. I was like, I don't know where you're going to go with this. And then you just started and I was like, wow, I'm captivated.
Good.
Yeah, sorry. That's so interesting. Oh God, getting me so excited for racing. Last question comes from Lani. You've said the halfway point of a marathon isn't 21 Ks, it's 32. Should I actually be structuring my long runs to practice what happens after that point? And if so, how do I do that without destroying myself every single weekend?
Question.
Great question.
Cool. So this comes down to something that we call like durability or fatigue resistance. It's very, very difficult to train for the majority of athletes, train that post 30, 32 kilometer distance. I think we're one of the more aggressive coaching companies when it comes to this. And I'll be like 4 to 6 weeks, we spend above 30 Ks, even if I probably wouldn't do it for an absolute beginner, but if you've run a marathon, it's like, cool, we're spending at least a month above 30. And then someone like Georgia who's got a time goal, if I can get 6 weeks with a little deload in there somewhere, like good as gold. How do you train this? In its simplest form, you train durability through back-end efforts. So all of my Sydney Marathon runners, and actually my Gold Coast Marathon runners, they all just fucking groan. They're like, So what we build, and we build this through the whole first half of our training blocks, and pull back the curtain, guys, on a little performance project secret here. All of our marathon blocks, generally 16 weeks. We like a 16-week block. The first 6 to 8 weeks, everything is back-ended. So it'll be 18 Ks plus back-end, 21 Ks plus back-end. And that might mean for a 21K run, it might be 15, 16 Ks, nice and cruisy zone 2. And then the last 5 Ks, we're at marathon pace or above. Or we're doing 25 Ks, again, with 2x5K back-ended with a 500 meter float in between, something like that. And we're trying to build that resistance, the fatigue resistance. We're trying to build that strength when your muscles are tired. Maybe you've run 40, 50, 60 Ks that week. You're also at the back end of a 25K long run, probably one of the longer runs you've ever done. And now we're asking you to put in an effort. And we're going to stack those efforts over and over and over again. And we're going to teach your body and teach the neuromuscular response within your body that you can keep pushing even when you're tired. And we're going to stack those over and over and over again. Once we've stacked that and we've seen enough evidence of you being able to do that and your body adapting, that's when we start to bring in specificity. Again, normally happens around the 8 to 10 week mark. That's when we'll start going, cool, this is where we're going to do 3x5K at tempo. This is where we're going to do 3x7K at tempo, 2x9, 3x10, whatever it might be, and start to build out that race specificity. So the easiest way to do it is back end all of your runs with efforts. You can do this even if you're not training for a marathon. 1 hour easy into like hill strides, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. You can do it on the end of your interval runs where you might do, let's just say, 10 by 400 meters at VO2, and then you drop down into 2 kilometers at like marathon-ish effort or half marathon-ish effort. And again, like you've just done this all-out effort, and then you're back-ending it with something that's not a cool down, and then you would go into a cool down. So there's a few different ways you can train it, even if you're outside of a marathon block. But I'm always thinking, what can I do at the end of a session to just push that fatigue resistance just a little bit further, build up that durability, build up that resistance?
And in the end of her question, she said, like, how do I do this without destroying myself every single weekend? I know in the past you've spoken about potentially doing these back-ended efforts every second week. Would you still apply this in this instance?
Just depends on how the athlete's responding. You can do like an on and off week for sure. Most athletes, because it's such a small dose, normally pretty fine with it. Maybe when you get to the specificity part, then you can sort of go on and off. Back end efforts generally speaking, are pretty easy to adapt to because it's 5Ks out of 25Ks or it's 5Ks out of 20Ks. But if you are like feeling quite fatigued and like almost getting DOMS from it, then yeah, for sure have an off week where it's just aerobic. But most athletes adapt pretty quickly to it.
Cool. That was a really good answer. I liked that.
Thank you.
Well, they're all good answers, but I don't know. I feel like we've been doing this podcast for 18 months and I'm still learning stuff every week. So
I always wonder how much Georgia just forgets.
quite a lot.
Sometimes I'll answer stuff and she'll be like, I haven't heard you say it. I'm like, I said it to you every day for 6 months.
Yeah, look, guys. Sometimes I can sit here and I'll be like, what did we just talk about? I actually heard someone saying that the other day. They were like, sometimes I can sit in a conversation and I'm so present that I actually forget what we've spoken about in the 5 minutes prior. And I was like, I relate to that so much. Like in that exact moment, like when we were just talking about Lani's question, I was so present in that I've completely forgotten anything else we've spoken about.
That's what happens to me when at the end I go, did I answer that? Because I just like, I'm so present in what I'm talking about and answering like what I thought the question was. And then I'm like, oh, I'm gone. I can't even remember what that was.
Oh, well. If we didn't, hit us up. We'll work it out.
Yeah.
It's all for fun. I just wanted to finish today's episode on a little lovely note we had this week, if you don't mind me sharing it.
Go for it.
I just thought this is so wonderful and we love hearing these guys. So please, let us know how you're going with your training. We're both so passionate about this and this is why we do it. So this has come from Jade. And Jade, I'm so sorry if you don't want to share this, but I'm going to share it. She said, hi, Georgia and Coach Matt. I just wanted to say how much your podcast has helped with my Gold Coast Marathon prep. I wish I'd found it before my first marathon in Noosa last year. Pretty sure I did everything you warned me not to do. I went in chasing sub 4 way too early and paid for it with severe ITB issues and a pretty rough race. It sounds like me at Gold Coast. Swore I'd never do another, but following your journey and listening to the pod got me to sign up for Gold Coast and give it another crack. I couldn't afford a coach, but applying what you both share has made this prep so much more structured, stress-free, and injury-free. Heading into taper, feeling confident, and sub 4 actually feels realistic this time. Love the mix of real experience and science. Georgia, I'm excited to follow your journey post-baby. And Matt, your no bullshit, nerdy deep dives have given me some solid reality checks. Thanks again. Your content genuinely helps.
Awesome.
Aww.
Love that.
So nice. How good's that? I thought you'd enjoy that. So I just wanted to share it on the pod because, these genuinely make our day. So thank you so much for that.
It really does. Because, like, again, we don't do this for any money. We literally, this costs me money to put out for us. So
this costs Matt money, guys.
it does. It does. It costs me money every month. But when we get messages like that and we get the listener questions, it does make it all worthwhile. Like, yes, we do a small amount of performance project promotion, which is cool, but like that's way better.
Oh, it's phenomenal. And, as Matt was saying, like we don't get paid for this. And, there are some weeks where we're both exhausted and we're like, oh my gosh, like I spend my Monday afternoons that I usually have off from work recording this. And, Matt spends his time that he would normally be working on the business or working on his own stuff. And we both do this for our community, and that is the Beyond the Finish Line community. And I think after 18 months, it's stuff like that they have started coming in a little bit more recently with like proper real world experience of people like really applying things we've said on the podcast. And I'm like, wow, that is pretty special. So yeah, thank you so much to you guys.
Yeah, it is cool from a coaching perspective, seeing people having time to maybe take something from episode 40 and then apply it and then come back and be like, I actually did this and this was the result, versus like people just saying, oh yeah, I'm going to do that because like everyone says they're going to do something, but most people don't. And actually seeing people like, no, I did the 5K thing or I did this pacing strategy in the marathon or whatever. And then they're coming back and they're like, yeah, it worked or loved it, whatever it is. So it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same kind of thing goes when people say like, I was really scared to run pregnant, and like your pregnancy running content has really given me the courage to go out and do it and know that it's okay and it's safe and, you know, my baby's okay. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing, because I don't feel like I'm going out there like doing anything wildly crazy. I'm just going out and running because I love it. And when you help people at the end of the day, that's just so special. So yeah, nice little way to end the episode.
Love it.
Love it. All right. This has been episode 72 of Beyond the Finish Line. If you're not already following us on Instagram, head over there and follow us at Beyond the Finish Line _pod. We are on every streaming platform, that is Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Make sure you head over there, like, subscribe, download, leave us a review. I love reading those. If you'd like to be coached by the Performance Project, head over to performanceproject.com.au, hit us up, fill out the form. We'd love to have you on board. And as always, have a wonderful week.
Hooroo.
Bye.